Hello and welcome to yet another Power Pack session here. The topic of this particular session is unwinding a year of uncertainty and endless digital opportunities. And ladies and gentlemen, I have seven top speakers to give you a perspective on this topic and allow me to welcome and introduce you to them. My first speaker for this particular panel discussion is Mr. Ronti Kar, the CIO of Bandhan Bank. Ronti, welcome to this discussion.
Thank you.
My next speaker is Mr. Deepak Sarda, GM IT and CTO Indian Bank. Deepak, welcome to this discussion. My next speaker is Mr. Deepak Lingwal, COO SBI General Insurance. Deepak, welcome to this discussion.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Hello.
Yes, great to have you. My next speaker is Ms. Suchashri Chatterjee, the head of India Technology Centers, Deutsche Bank. Ms. Chatterjee, glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here myself.
Great. My next speaker is Mr. Rajesh Krishnia, the country head of BFSI Nutanix. Rajesh, glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Good. We are happy too, Mr. Rajesh. And my next speaker is Mr. Manik Nandan, MSVP and CTO, Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Manik Nandan, welcome to this discussion.
Thank you, Amal.
And my last speaker is Mr. David Tubb, the Director of Business Development, Ribbon Communications. David, glad to have you here.
Thank you, and thanks for being invited.
Okay, great. So to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have, great learnings from all of you. And since the topic is specifically unwinding a year of uncertainty and endless digital opportunities, BFSI companies have been aggressively adopting technologies in the last 1 year. They have been far more aggressive, in fact, compared to what they were earlier. So, Ronti, I will come to you first. And my question is very simple to you. What kinds of digital opportunities the uncertainty or the pandemic has created for you and your sector or a bank?
So, when we heard about the lockdown, initially we thought it's for a week or so, and we are just preparing some temporary arrangements. But when the lockdown got extended, we got a bit scared because we are not prepared at all. So at that time, we had some VPN facility. We started giving laptops, procuring laptops and giving them to the critical employees, immediately dispatching them and dispatching even the desktops to their homes. So, and the video conference, nobody used video conferencing to a large extent at that time. And in a day or two, everybody learned how to use video conferencing, Zoom and then Webex, then Teams, and all these things came into there. I think within a month, everybody is equipped with everything to run the bank as usual and without any problem. And people started saying we are working even better than what we are doing in a normal day. So the productivity didn't got affected at all. So necessity is the mother of invention. Now, in a quick time, I got to know how to use everything. Our people got to know how to use everything. We created WhatsApp group for effective communication, and all this happened in a very short time, maybe in a span of 10, 15 days. So that's a learning for us. Now, if you say whether we created any digital opportunity for our customers, it's not as such because we are already in retail internet banking, mobile banking, already those were in place. All we had focused that those should not come down. We focused especially that the DR sites should be up and there should not be any problem in case, say, our data center is in Mumbai, controllers, if it goes down, so that we can quickly get into the DR mode. And we placed people in hotels, nearby hotels near to our data centers, so that they can give the proper support in case of any crisis or emergency. So that's a great learning in a very short time. And now all the bank users are now very tech savvy. They know how to use VPN and log into the network and work as usual. So it's a great opportunity for us during the pandemic. It's just amplified everything.
True,
although technology was there.
A lot of BFSI companies, in fact, specifically banks.
Right.
But for traditional banks, maybe there could be some other challenges. So let me come to Manikandan. And you tell me, Mr. Manikandan, how was it for you? Because your bank is a very traditional bank. And obviously, the digital is a journey for every bank. But how did you manage, or how are you managing during the pandemic by using digital far more aggressively?
Well, it's in a two folds, I should say. One is employee engagement and customer service. Normally, we being a kind of traditional organization, 95 years for the traditional organization, the customer footprint is still large in the branches. While the digital channels are up and live almost 10 years now, but still the customer, we operate mostly on semi-urban and rural areas, but still gold loan is one of the key components for the client. And particularly on a kind of a pandemic kind of situation, the limited access by the employees as well as the customer, a kind of a challenging situation. While the employee engagement we could able to manage with range quickly, we have a kind of end-to-end organization last 7-8 years completely covered on unified collaboration with Teams and Kaizala and various other products. So that way we could able to quickly augment the employee communication. That's not created any major challenge. We operated on VPN and everything. So that way, maybe in augmented additional laptops and other things. So that we find that kind of one of the challenges is a kind of customer service. What we have done is quickly we reached out to all the clients over an SMS and communicated them quickly on board on the mobile app wherever it is possible. And instantly our mobile app running on all regional languages, all 6-7 regional languages. So that way we could be able to quickly reach out the client, and clients also quickly able to onboard on the regional language. So that way the client reachability at least we could be able to manage. At the same time, on the branch footprint, we could able to introduce some quick services, whatever available through the call center and other alternative channels. Those services, some of the self-service environment, we could able to create at the branch so that when the customer walks in a branch environment, and employees also can able to quickly manage those queries, calls, and we have the self-service automated POS printing kiosk. With that, we could able to sustain some of the customer service.
Okay, valid points, Mr. Manikandan. Mr. Sada at Indian Bank, how are you looking at, pandemic as a big booster for digital?
These difficult times has taught a lot of good things for the bank. The employees who were averse to use technology, especially collaborative tools, were now more on online platform. All meetings are happening online, including like a public sector bank without paper, pen, physical signature. Nothing used to happen in earlier times. We did all our amalgamation procurement, which may be 1,000+ crore, over all these virtual meetings attended by all regulators who are board members, and there was absolutely no problem. With respect to customer service, we also had our different offices in Chennai, because Chennai-based bank is a brand in Tamil Nadu. So we have set up a BCP for manpower also who can work from other area in case we are not able to reach our data center, and our DR site. So either place in Mumbai, in Chennai. And with respect to digitalization, offering services to customers, already government has started process way back before pandemic, Ease 1, Ease 2, Ease 3. So based on that, Ease 1, Ease 2, Ease 3, most of the points, including loan disbursement, is also digitalized. And now it is being offered digitally. Without visiting the customer, data analytics has helped us. And over a period, we built our data. Earlier, since being a traditional bank, there was data cleansing required, which have been done. And it has coincided with the pandemic, which has helped us to target. Earlier, we used to target customers what they want. Now it is reverse. What customer want, we have to predict from our data models and algorithms. So this way we are able to support. And being a public sector government bank, we do not have any holidays. People are working all together, and now also maybe with less staff, but service as usual is continuing without having much difficulties, because we are offering most of the basic services through online, which is required by each and everyone.
Right, Mr. Sada. So let me, bring here a perspective from a global bank. And Ms. Chatterjee, I want you to, share here a customer's point of view. As Mr. Sada said, the customer demands are also increasing. So could you tell me, from lending to payments, customer expectations have really been going up. So how are you actually trying to match it up at your bank?
Yeah, I think valid points raised by all the panelists so far in terms of responding to the digital transformation. I think I just want to one thing in context. I think the digital transformation need was there for quite a few years. I just think that the pandemic brought it into sharper focus, and a lot of things went into an accelerated adoption because of the pandemic, and that actually is a good thing for banking as well as technology. Customers all over have been asking for a easier way of interfacing. Whether it's a corporate customer or an investment banking customer or a retail customer. I think what they want is a non-intrusive way of interacting with banks or their end users, which is kind of integrated into their daily way of working. And as a bank, we've been trying to do this for the past few years, and that is why business and technology, at least within Deutsche Bank, actually work together to bring out products for the customer. I mean, I can give you a few simple examples of, we're so used to doing things on WhatsApp. Now, bank and a customer interact through certain channels. Symphony channel is a common mode of communication for banking customers. What we did was we integrated WhatsApp to Symphony channel communication. So the customer never had to go out of his preferred mode of communication. He continued or she continued to stay on that channel, but banking business got done. Similarly, we've been on the path of apification of our platforms for quite a few years. So breaking down monolithic applications into sets of independent services, being able to deploy them as APIs that can connect externally as well as internally. All that helped us getting closer to the customer's requirements. So I think, from a customer's point of view, these are some of the things that we've been trying to do over the past few years.
Okay. I think valid points, and the customer journey has been changed drastically. In fact, a banker once told me that, I'm constantly worried, how can I give a Swiggy-like experience to my customers, because they want to see their bank happening on a mobile application, right? So moving ahead with my conversation, let me bring here, Mr. Lingwal from a general insurance company, SBI. Insurance has been always a push product, but now everybody is aggressively using, digital and specifically insurance companies as well. So, Deepak, could you tell me here, by what percentage your reliance on digital has been increased during this pandemic?
Well, Amol, it's a good question. And I think being a banker for last 25 years, I was so prompted to join other panelists when they were talking about the challenges they have faced in their banks. But frankly speaking, before I would comment on this, I would like to pay my tribute to all the departed souls, because we have lost almost 250,000 people because of this COVID. And more than 20 people are infected, which is a really serious matter of concern for all of us. But as rightly pointed out by someone, that we are used to these kind of challenges. And I'm sure that we will face this second wave also with much of courage, and things will improve going forward. Coming on to the digital part, Amol, I would like to, say that if you look at the pandemic and its impact on the economy as a whole, and be it a financial sector, bank, or insurance, I would say there were critically three key areas or the key challenges or the phases which we have faced. I would put it in RRT. That is, the first phase was the response, wherein all of us, be it bank or insurance, the way we have responded to this pandemic, because overnight we were asked to move to the remote working. We were asked to connect a customer virtually. So there were challenges which we have responded. The second phase started when we started recovering from that pandemic and its effect. And the third one is very important, where we call it Thrive. The T. Thrive means there we have started making a balance between the growth and the profitability. So now I think most of us have crossed first two phases. Now we are at the third phase when we are trying to keep a balance between the growth and the profitability. Challenges are huge, no doubt about it. Coming on to your questions about digital, I think there are certain areas where we are fully digitized because of this pandemic. I would like to quote the renewal part of it. When you face certain challenges, like you cannot stop from a natural disaster or pandemic to happen, but you can always arm yourself with the enough ammunition to combat it. And that is what we were working on. I think our proactive approach has helped us in sailing through this pandemic and its effect. So the one area where I can say 100% digitization happened in our company, in SBI General, is the renewal area. The second was the policy issuance. There we were running a lot of scripts. So there we went for full digitization. And I can proudly say that my policy issuance is now 100% digitized. But at the same time, there are certain areas like where we are in process of digitization. So I would say renewal, policy issuance, 100%. In some of the areas like underwriting, sales and distribution, it is 60 to 70%.
Right.
So that's the way we have traveled through all this pandemic era. And optimum utilization of AI, RPAs, chatbot, email bot, we used everything in a very faster manner to serve our customer.
Very well said, Deepak. In fact, a detailed answer one. So, one thing which I learned, and specifically about cloud, that each and every CDO or a CXO told me that we went far more aggressive on the cloud computing, adoption of cloud. And I have here David with me. So David, I will throw you this question specifically on the clouds. What are your views on the cloud adoption journey of the banks? To what extent banks or specifically the BFSI companies have shown progress? And what are the challenges do you see in the cloud adoption?
Yeah, thank you. So I think in agreement with others that before 2020, people were moving some IT functions to the cloud. They were comfortable with some things, but actually the communications services that they used were largely on-premise based solutions, dedicated systems with dedicated devices like phones on people's desks. When things changed in 2020, the corporate communication shifted quite easily and rapidly to conferencing, cloud conferencing providers. But actually, there was a much bigger situation or problem with communications that is regulated either by national regulators or financial regulators, or communications that has tight integrations to IT systems like the contact centers. So those were a much bigger challenge and couldn't just be moved wholesale to the cloud. That's very much the area we've been working on with our customers. And what we see in 2021 is big progress in allowing those systems to be accessed from any device, from any network, right? So a complete shift from controlled environments to uncontrolled environments. And actually now we're working in the global banks with a different challenge, which is the return to the office, right? Which is that people have got a particular type of experience now at home on their devices, and the on-site facilities now need to be adapted so that they work optimally with those cloud services, so you can allow the workforce to be mobile, whether they're in the office or whether they're not in the office, or they're in the office one week and not the next. That's actually a new challenge which we're helping our customers with. The types of things we've been helping the financial institutions with is connectivity, right? So how connectivity patterns are shifting with users. So previously people were connecting from the public networks into the bank. Now people are connecting from the bank's IC systems into clouds, and particularly dealing with flexibility, right? So people's communications networks have been kind of gradually evolving for 20 years, but actually they weren't necessarily ready to say all of a sudden these people are working here or in this system. And so we've been helping our customers with flexible routing solutions, compliance, right? So in these environments, how do you maintain compliance? How do you keep sessions recorded where they need to be? Provision of different types of analytics to understand, well, different users are now in different places and their workflows are different. So how do I understand if they're working effectively and if my customers are getting good service, right? And then all of that also goes along with flexible deployments. So we very much were in an environment where most people used appliances for communications functions, but through use of software rather than appliances, we're able to flexibly support the customer to say, well, hey, I've got some big expansions happening in this particular location. How do I bring up equipment? Well, we can use generic data center hardware and put our communication systems as software into those environments to allow scaling or adaptation of the particular uses. Okay.
Okay. Noted, David. I think a detailed answer. So Rajesh, my question is specifically to you on the technology side. You heard David talking about cloud and how the companies are expanding. You heard the other panelists as well. In fact, the CISO told me very clearly, very recently, that had it not been a pandemic, I would not have even thought of giving a VPN access to the employees, right? So, so considering all these changes and challenges, Rajesh, what is your learning? What are the demands that you are seeing specifically from the BFSI companies counter the impact of the pandemic?
So thank you for that, Amol. Just to add a couple of points to the previous speaker's message. So we are seeing customers moving a lot of systems of engagement on the cloud very quickly. Those that are requiring maybe some cloud native services like language translations, etc., moving very quick. Customers, on the other hand, are not just keeping systems of records as it is. And that's one of the big changes we are seeing, right? Systems of records for a bank could be a loan management system, a core banking system, maybe treasury, the ATMs, whatever others, critical systems that they would call as tier one. And interestingly, and to credit to all the bankers and the technology players in the banking industry, right? Despite this big, huge change that has come in because of COVID-19, customers are looking to modernize these infrastructures and make them ready for the next wave of digitization, which would obviously be leveraging the hybrid cloud in the era of workforce modernization, right? I think everybody prior to me has spoken quite extensively on how the willingly or unwillingly workforce has actually got modernized to a large extent and will continue to do so in the coming years. I think technology professionals in the banking industry are themselves now modernizing their applications within their data centers so that they're hybrid cloud ready and are able to meet the needs of the customers which are there. From capabilities point of view, just two quick things that we have seen which stand out. Number one is availability. I think the loads are increasing tremendously on all kinds of systems, digital systems especially. And the second is on compliance, right? Which is more, when I say compliance, I speak more on business continuity to what Mr. Karvst mentioned very initially in the conversation, right? Making sure that the DR site is actually a disaster recovery site. Maybe making sure a near DR site is actually one that works for the bank when it's needed. Yeah. And as a player in this space, we've been working closely with pretty much all the top 10 tier private sector banks. We've been working with them to enable them on this journey of hybrid cloud. Yeah. Over to you, Amol.
Okay. Thanks. Noted, Rajesh. Valid points. And, I think compliance and capabilities, very, very valid points, Rajesh. I will move to you, Deepak from Indian Bank. And my question to you is, obviously, technology is an important part. Digital is an important part. You are also doing it far more aggressively. But at a traditional bank like you, what are the major challenges do you face when adopting technology, when adopting digital?
More importantly, adopting technology, now our mix of customers also has become 50-50. Earlier, it used to be a traditional bank with customers of 50 plus 60 years age, and below that were very few. Now, with aggressive marketing of a digital product, adding digital initiatives in the existing mobile apps or internet banking, the services as offered by private banks are also being offered by most of the public sector banks also. So Gen Next customers are also getting attracted towards public sector banks far aggressively. and the infrastructure with respect to whatever has been created by the bank on the part of amalgamation has helped our bank to large extent to scale up for next 6 to 7 years by not investing at all everything together. As and when it comes, now everything has become modular, be it hardware, be it software licenses, be it adding your interfacing your applications through middleware, and a lot of loads are now coming to middleware, are integrating with various external business partners through API. So as previous speaker has mentioned that there are two buckets. One is transaction banking, which is your nothing but your core banking. Others is your giving user experience. So all are working now in a different silo, however, connecting each other, providing every type of services. Now, over a period, this COVID pandemic has taught even the higher age group customers also to use WhatsApp, to use mobile banking in a much effective and far predictive manner. However, we had a challenge which were there before pandemic also, which is respect to cyber security. Now more investments are being made in that area, and as regulated by RBI, it is being monitored and implemented. That also plays a very important role with respect to scaling up your infrastructure. Having that, unless it is powerful, you will not be able to pass through that particular firewalls or whatever prevention systems are available to provide a seamless, consistent services to our customers. So amalgamation has helped our bank to a large extent, and after pandemic, utilizing that infrastructure in a much effective manner has also helped us to provide all the services to the customers.
Yeah, Ms. Mukherjee, you want to add something to it? Yes, please.
This whole concept of scaling up, scaling down. So I think, look, there again, the whole thinking, I think, has to change to this whole extension of what we used to call a SaaS model, software as a service. We talk of platform as a service, we talk of infrastructure as a service, and actually within our bank, we're even talking of this as a banking product, which is asset as in service. You don't buy a full asset, you only pay for how much you want to use of that particular asset. And what that really means in terms of technology is that when you talk of this concept of service, every single aspect of that service is brought down to a very granular level. So, the point around security is so valid for any bank, and the amount of time we spent figuring out how we need to beef up our CISO security strength, etc. Now that whole concept of security is at that service level. That whole security, especially if the service is on a public cloud, we have to be able to cater to entitlements, cater to security at an individual record level, and within the record, an individual field level. So I think that's the way the thinking within the bank is changing, to look at everything at a granular level, so that becomes that whole service that people can use and pay as you use. So once you've done that, you pay for 10 service or 50 service or 100 service. So that's how you scale up. So that's the thinking in most of the banks today in terms of how we cater to the whole requirement of scaling up on demand. And in fact, foreseeing the demand and being able to cater to it very quickly, because we don't have that luxury of waiting and ramping up over 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months anymore.
Right.
So just want to add that.
Sure, I think valid point, Ms. Chatterjee, you added that. Manikandan, I will come back to you. And since, each and every CDO, CIO, CXO is talking about adopting digital far more aggressively, my question to you here is, how is the preparedness to ensure scaling up is never a challenge to tap endless digital opportunities?
In a kind of a pandemic situation like that, normally the global economy always, in the past also, because in the last couple of years it's because of pandemic, but always whenever the global economy going down or any crisis, normally if you see the BFSI is the one industry, the supporting industry for all other industries. Irrespective of a kind of situation, we need to respond, starting from an individual to a corporate. So that way, I could able to sense that the setting up a private cloud and adoption of public cloud over a period of time, it is always there in the industry, but last couple of years, the augmentation was very fast. And our own case, we have set up a kind of 1819, we set up a kind of private cloud and a hyper cloud converged infrastructure. But we augmented again, again we completely augmented, run the various internal transaction engines to support the front-ending customer application. And a lot of digital layer, we also added onto the private cloud what we are running. And we also used effectively the public cloud infrastructure for a lot of employee communication, some of the customer communication also.
Okay, noted that. Deepak, you wanted to add something? Deepak, insurance.
Yeah, Amol, just when we were talking about the scaling up the digitization and other things, I just wanted to add, actually, this pandemic has exposed the gaps between physical capabilities and the raising cybersecurity concern. That is the one area. I mean, see, frankly speaking, nowadays, onboarding of any fintech or insurtech company with a solution is not a challenge. The challenge is we have not thought of the cybersecurity concern that we are exposing ourselves to. That is the one area when we talk about the scaling up anything. This is the first and foremost thing which comes to our mind, saying that how we are going to address to that issue, and that is the biggest challenge among all the insurance company as well as banks. So.
Okay, noted, Deepak. Thanks for giving that perspective. And yes, security is a very, very important part. Ronti, I will come to you here, and you heard Ms. Chatterjee also talking about banking as a service. Scaling up is another issue, and customer service is also one of the important points. My question to you, Ronti, here is: how difficult is it to deliver banking service to customers where they want it? Because it's not just about giving a best or seamless customer service. It's also about catering or giving a different service to different customers from different geographies.
Yeah. So coming to providing services at whatever location or in whichever mode the customers want, I think digital is the only option, because that we can give banking services in two ways: either through physical interaction, they have to visit the bank branches, or we can send our representative to the customers as a doorstep banking, or the customers can come to ATM. So for transaction. Now, for all these customers either have to travel or our representatives have to travel to the customers. Now, it has difficulties because to do these setups, like opening a new branch, is a costly affair and needs a lot of thought process behind it. Which location will be better? What will be good for business? All these things are there. But if we go for digital, that gives us an immense opportunity that the transactions can happen from anywhere. So the only challenge there is that we have to make our customers a digitally literate or financially literate a bit, and also at the same time give them assurance, because many customers are afraid that if we transact digitally, the chances of frauds are more. So those assurances have to be given. And if we can overcome these challenges, I think that is the best option where we can expand like anything. So I think we should focus on that. Government should focus on that, on the digital literacy and financial literacy. I think that will give an immense opportunity. And banking business is something which can run entirely on digital. But because if you see some other business or retail or travel, so they need some physical movement. But banking itself can run completely on digital platform, provided the channels are secured. And we give customers that kind of literacy to operate their mobile devices properly.
Okay. Thanks, Ronti. So, Ms. Chatterjee, one question that comes to my mind, and maybe you are part of a global bank, so you can give me a different perspective here. So, each and every BFSI company is using hundreds of, technologies and digital adoption, digital tools. How do you ensure the highest level of utilization level at your bank when you are adopting XYZ technologies?
So I think it's more about what is the problem that we are trying to solve. That determines the use of the technology. I mean, every 3 months, I think there is a new tool or a technology solution that is the best and brightest out there. And, all our people want to drop what they're working on and move to the next best thing. But in terms of, who we are finally solving a business problem within the bank. And for that, the technology that gives the best returns on investment is what we go for. So, of course, we have our tech councils and we have our, design authority committees that review periodically the use of technology within the bank and then phase out what is not used so much anymore. And we focus more on what is relevant. But if I were to just quickly summarize the key principles, it is about which technology adapts itself best to reuse, which technology adapts itself best to scaling, and which technology adapts itself to better skilling of the workforce. I think then those sets of technologies are the ones that we use the most, because that's the greatest return for us from a organization's point of view, and also from a maintainability point of view. So I don't know if that answers your question, Amol, but that is a continuous review that we as CIOs do of the technology stack within the bank.
Okay, sure. I think Rajesh wanted to add something to it. Rajesh, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add Ms. Chatterjee's point here. One of the very interesting phenomenon we observed, right, April of last year was all the infrastructure that we had built for catering to the branch banking suddenly became underutilized because the branches were closed for a period of, like, say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But at the same time, we had a sudden spike in the infrastructure requirements for digital channels. Now, the key for the banks and institutions was if you had a modern environment in your data centers, you could actually repurpose some of this capacity to compensate for, one side going down, the other coming up. The challenge essentially comes in is if you have silos of environment within your data centers where each environment is hard-coded for one particular, say, application or a business, suddenly then you'll not be able to kind of leverage the capacities that are there in your own data center. And that actually was the reason why I stated earlier, like, we have seen tremendous, big bets by a lot of banks to modernize the application despite this, COVID pandemic, where you traditionally expect people to be very conservative, don't touch what's working. Let's only try to touch things which are not working, right? But banks are now very clear. We are going to modernize everything because, we're never going to come to the same situation we've been in the past. We're only going to build on top of it. So that's just one point I wanted to go ahead. Sorry.
Sure, Rajesh. I think I will also bring David here. And David, my question to you is, what are some of the key measures, the banks or the BFSI companies need to adopt to ensure that digitally ready, secured, and robust?
Yeah, so I think it really follows on from some of the comments we've just heard that technology choice is very important to ensure that you are investing in the right platforms and technology skilling that are going to allow you to have flexibility to deal with whatever happens, right? And particularly coming from the communications infrastructure, which is always somewhat esoteric and different to IT, just because some of the communication protocol demands. What we've seen is that the answer to making those choices is really to learn from the internet scale cloud providers, right? So if things are working very well in a web browser, then those are the indications of choices that you should be making when you're putting your communications infrastructure together, so that you can make sure that cybersecurity is obvious, right? Because everyone knows how to secure browser technologies, and communications can then be flexible. So people can work on browsers, or they can work on desktops or mobiles or virtual desktops, because the browser technology is flexible and ubiquitous. So very much kind of making the right technology choice is important. That's following the trend of the internet and not kind of persisting with trends that may have happened inside premises equipment previously, and then using those technologies to allow yourself to adapt and flex as your employee requirements change. The other thing which I think was also picked up, which I found interesting, was we did a lot of conversion from physical devices to applications to help people move where they communicate. And one of the things that we learned from that is that you can take a next step on from there, which isn't just relocating how people communicate, but also then vertically integrating the communication. So if you imagine a customer communications, a lot of the problems that people are having in managing large customer communications environments is actually when humans kind of do something wrong, right? Their customer care app is out of sync with their phone or whatever it might be. So by having the right digital protocols, choosing the right platforms and technologies, you can actually now take the step of integrating those to remove the human decision-making processes, which can often go wrong, and then actually end up with a better user experience, better productivity, and then a platform for doing better customer engagement going forward that isn't just based on historic public telephone systems, right? So yeah, choice of technology.
Thanks, David, for that note. Thanks, David. I think we are running a bit short of time, but I will give 1 minute to each one of you. And I have only one question to all of you, and I will start with you, Mr. Deepak Lingwal. As we are seeing, this pandemic is going to be there for some more longer time than we had expected. So what kind of changes do you see in your company, maybe in next 6 to 12 months? What are the new things that you're going to do? Because you know that the situation is going to be there for at least, little longer than what we had expected. And I'm going to ask this question to almost all of you. So Deepak, starting with you.
So Amol, I can exceed 1 month if you allow me to say so, because it's a very interesting question, because we are fighting a continuous battle, and it's a battle between physical distancing, or we call social distancing, versus digital advancing, I would say. So we are coping with this crisis in that way, and it is going to last long, for sure. So the winners, when we talk about the insurance industry, because I'm now heading this operation for SBI General. So I would say there are 3 critical factors. And if we can take care of those factors, so then only we can win this battle. The first thing, we have to concentrate on the core business, be it bank or insurance company. And when we talk about the core business, we need to ensure that we provide timely, digitize, and the much improved customer products and services to our customer. This is first thing. The second thing is, we need to go beyond our area. When I say beyond insurance, means we have to have an ecosystem of interconnected, interrelated services. So now the customer wants an experience like he's buying something on Amazon, right? Or through some app, JioMart or something. He would like to have the similar kind of experience while he's buying products from the bank or the insurance. That is the challenge. So those who can meet these expectations are going to survive. And the last, but not the least, digital is not a choice anymore. Now it is a necessity. So the people or the companies which are taking innovation as a priority are going to be sustained in the long run. So this pandemic, though it has posed certain challenges, but at the same time, it is a blessing in disguise also, because it has forced us to digitize, automate all our processes and products, and make services worthwhile to the millennium, which are very much tech savvy and digital savvy. So that's my answer to you, Amol. Thank you.
Copy that, Deepak. Manikandan?
Amol, I will say that overall, maybe the next few months, key objective could be, I will say that how quickly we can onboard the customer, how better we can give a kind of better customer experience, how accurate we can able to provide. For example, onboarding could be using of a video service, VSUP solution kind of stuff, how quickly we can augment video KYC kind of solution for this better customer onboarding solution. Another is from a customer servicing point of view, the digital payment is another key area. Thanks to Government of India for promoting the UPI the platform. If you can able to see that starting from a kind of small street vendor to all departmental store, we could able to, in our own personal life, we could experience that the UPI made a kind of a different kind of payment solution brought to the country. And that reduced a lot of cash flow. And there is no need for a kind of physically go to the site. And if you can able to see the Google Pay and e-com companies like Amazon and everyone adopting the different type of digital payment solution on UPI platform. So the digital payments is one of the key factors I foresee next few months is going to be the biggest adoption across the country and different segment of society also. And third one is the how we will reach out the client, whatever the government benefits are coming up, like a kind of subsidized loans, and how quickly we can able to transit those kind of facilities or subsidies given by the government to the client, how we can able to quickly reach out to the client and make it digitally available to them, properly identifying as a kind of quickly assessing their risk assessment and credit worthiness and everything, so that quickly we can disperse the loan is another key area for next few months I could able to foresee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manikandan. Mr. Sada?
Yeah. So there are two aspects to a banking. One is asset side, one is liability. Now we are giving products or offering products and services to our customers with respect to liability. Everybody is talking about onboarding of customers. They should have a similar experience. GUI should be same, easy to operate. What about the product which are asset for the bank? Unless that is being offered digitally in a proper environment with proper documentation, the other side of it will not be a balanced approach. So now we have to focus to see that in next 6 to 8 months, the way we have digitized our liability side products, we should be in a position to have our asset side product means loans in the similar way, so that it will be hassle-free service to the customers and automatically you will be able to retain your customers. So for this, as you all rightly pose the questions to all the panelists with respect to scaling up, with respect to cyber security, how you are going to provide your services, doorstep banking. Now there are other model, we are talking about urban, semi-urban, metro. There are rural places also where we have to offer services which may be doorstep, which is nothing but a BC model, where all the banks are offering all type of services now, which are basic and which are required by them. So I feel that we have to focus on these areas going next for next 6 to 12 months.
Right, Deepak. Ranti?
Assuming that this pandemic situation may remain for next 6 months, 1 year, nobody knows, right? And nobody knows that if this crisis goes, whether another crisis will come or not, right? So keeping all these things in view, whatever we have earlier planned to develop browser-based, we are trying to make it mobile-based so that people on the go can use those applications. And we are into a mega transformation. I don't know whether you know that. So already we are doing a major transformation with all the applications, which will take some time, and the major focus is on that. And I just forgot to mention, actually, during this pandemic situation, last year in June, actually, we launched our tab-based collection banking application to expedite the collection process. So that's another initiative we took last year. That's it. But our major focus in coming months and years will be this transformation.
Okay, thanks, Ranti. Ms. Chatterjee?
Yeah, I think, look, I'll cover a slightly different aspect. People have covered the banking side, but I also think that this fundamentally, whether the pandemic stays or goes, I don't think it matters. I think this has fundamentally changed the way we are going to work in the future. And this hybrid model of working from home and then working in office is here to stay. And it is going to change the way we look at real estate, the way we look at, what activities do we do in office, what activities do we do when we are working from home. And it also brings out this whole thing of there is no location constraint for a particular role anymore. So why wouldn't you do a role that earlier had to be done from a specific location, from anywhere else, if you have all the infrastructure to be able to do it digitally? I think these are all things that at least we, banks are thinking about. And as each bank comes out with their future ways of working, we're going to see this happen more and more. And nothing's going to be the same anymore. So it's going to be a new normal going forward for all of us.
True, Ms. Chatterjee. So I will tweak the question to you, Rajesh, a bit, because you come from a tech background, so not the same question, but we'll quickly add to here. It is, what kind of emerging technologies do you see that the BFSI companies will go for it maybe in the next 12 months? Or what will be the emerging technologies that will, lead the BFSI companies in near future?
Thank you. So I think adoption of hybrid cloud is going to be the number one priority for almost all the companies. That's a done deal, like all. And I think all the panelists have pretty much agreed to it. The other is going to be use of analytics. I think that's another area we are seeing banks investing in custom built data lakes, where they're figuring out newer ways and newer means to reach out to their customers at the right time. Everybody's been speaking about it. How do you reach a customer? What time do you reach the customer? And by what medium? So data lake investments are extremely something which are going to be quite important for all the customers. And last, I think, and not the least, automation, right? I think we don't give it enough importance, but I think that's another key for all the customers we are talking to. Every aspect of their operations, they're looking for more and more automation, right? Whether it's infrastructure, applications, business rules, you name it, they're talking about automating all of those things. So these are the areas that we are seeing. Within each of these areas, obviously, there are multiple technology providers who are here to help these customers here. So hybrid cloud is there, analytics based on custom data lakes, which provide a unique edge to that customer, right? In the world of today's world, where, say, a public cloud is available to every customer, how do you build your edge, right? And that knowledge of the analytics and the data lakes that you build, the business tools you build, are the ones that are going to differentiate you from the peer that you're competing with in the market. Yes, Aman.
Okay, thanks, Rajesh. And David, your last views on, what are the digital opportunities do you see emerging in this space for specifically for the BFSI companies?
Yeah, I just think the right technology choices need to be made, and again, from a communications platform perspective, making sure that your communications platform is a platform that you can use and grow with and integrate with, rather than something that's locked in a building that actually is causing a drag on your corporate communications. That's the important thing. And there's partly a cloud answer to that. There's partly a private cloud answer to that, and an on-premise equipment as well. Things have changed. We need to make sure that we're treating communications just like a data center and software application, just like any other banking application would be in your environment, so that people can carry on communicating in a flexible way.
Okay. Noted, David. Valid points from all of you. I think wish I could have taken some more questions, but the time is limited. I guess we already crossed 40-50 minutes. I didn't realize that. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing your perspective. Thank you so much, Mr. Kar, Mr. Sarda, Mr. Lingwal, Ms. Chatterjee, Mr. Krishna, Mr. Maniknandan, and Mr. David. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective at ETBFSI in virtual conclave. Thank you so much.